Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the channel here on a later evening open mic. My name is John Campea, and we weren't able to do an open mic earlier today because I was off watching Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I think probably a bunch of you guys did today as well. And if not, then I'm sure a bunch of you guys have plans to do so. This is, of course, open mic. Hello to everybody in the live chat who's here already. Open mic where we just talk about the things you guys want to talk about. You got a topic you want to talk about? Go ahead and fire it on in. The super chats are open right now. I'll leave them open for a little while longer, and then I'll have to shut them down. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, because of a little bit of confusion I had with Jonathan earlier, the questions that we normally take via the tip link that you guys send in, I don't have them with me right now, unfortunately. So but don't worry, we will address those on tomorrow's open mic. Tomorrow, if you sent in a question via the tip link, don't worry, we got it. We still have them. They will be addressed on tomorrow's open mic. So yeah, but today I'm just going to take live chat messages from you guys. But you know, first I'm going to talk just a minute about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And no, I'm not going to give any spoilers. No spoilers here. Just to say that I am staggered. I'm absolutely staggered by what I saw. This movie is an insane piece of art. And I put up my out of the theater reaction. It's up on the channel right now. I put up about 45 minutes ago. You can go see it there. But I am beyond myself. Look, I am still in the buzz glow of just having come out of seeing the movie because I only walked out of the theater about an hour ago. So I'm still kind of in the buzz and afterglow of the movie a little bit. So I want to be very, very careful about throwing around terms like greatest comic book movie of all time. But it might be the greatest comic book movie of all time. It's probably the best Spider-Man movie of all time. And by the way, now Sony has made the 3 best Spider-Man movies. They made Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, Into the Spider-Verse, and Across the Spider-Verse. All of them are better than any Disney Spider-Man movie. And I like the Disney Spider-Man movies. You know I like the Disney Spider-Man movies. But if you're keeping count here, Sony has now made not 1, not 2, but the 3 best Spider-Man movies. Just throwing that out there. The story is remarkable. The flow of the narrative is masterful. The humor is sharp and completely on point. The emotions are real. The dialogue is outstanding. It's just, and here's the most important thing. It's not just a good comic book movie. It's a great movie. Like by any standards and by any definition, it is a great movie. If you take away the comic bookness of it, and that's hard to do. By the way, Rampage Predacon just became a director level member of the channel. Thank you, Rampage Predacon. Appreciate that. And I know it's tough to remove the comic bookness of, you know, a multiverse bonkers kind of movie. I understand that. But even if you do take away all the bonkerness and all the comic bookiness, it's a beautiful film. It's an absolutely beautiful, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film. And I want to be careful not to oversell it. Because again, maybe once I'm a day removed, maybe I'll go, okay, maybe not the greatest comic book film of all time, but certainly one of the greatest comic book films of all time. So like, I'm just trying to give you that grain of salt that I'm still kind of living in the buzz of the movie right now. It is absolutely incredible. I love it. And Ann and I are actually going back to watch it again tonight. Yep, you heard that. Ann and I are going to go back again tonight. We immediately came out, booked tickets to go see it again, and we're going to go see it at 10 o'clock tonight. And yeah, so that means it's going to be a pretty late night for me, but it's worth it. It's so worth it. I just can't wait to go back and watch it again. Guys, it's so good. I don't know if you can tell, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Just from like the emotional peak I was at. I'm on a little bit of a sugar crash right now, if you will. It's like an emotional sugar crash. But yeah, I mean, is what it is. I just had a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time. And we'll talk about it more tomorrow. I'll probably do a separate review video for tomorrow that'll go up on the channel. And then we'll probably talk about it during the John Campea Show podcast. Yeah. So a Combo Jack is writing, is it better than The Dark Knight? See, I gotta work through that. Like, I will say this. It is a better comic book film than The Dark Knight is. The Dark Knight is another one of those transcendent comic book movies that is beyond just a comic book movie. It is a brilliant piece of cinema in and of itself. And as an overall film, again, I got to think about this. So take nothing that I'm saying here in concrete, but there might be an argument to be made that The Dark Knight is a better movie, but Across the Spider-Verse is a better comic book movie. Let me work through all the kind of processes of that in my own head as well. But this is it's a fantastic movie. I can't remember the last time Ann and I saw a movie, walked out and immediately said, let's book our tickets again for later tonight. I can't remember the last time Ann and I did that. I know we have done it, but I think it's been years. It's been years since we've done that. So, there you go. Take that with a grain of salt and as you will, but we'll talk more about it tomorrow. All right, guys, listen. Let's not waste any time. Let's get to it. I'm sure some of you will have questions. Again, I'm going to give no spoilers away tonight. We're going to do an open spoiler discussion on Sunday. So make sure you come back and join us on Sunday for that. That's going to be a great one. So let's get into it here, shall we? We're going to start off here with Jay Bling, who writes, Dwayne Johnson is getting a new standalone Hobbs movie that will bridge Fast X Part 1 into Part 2, but it doesn't look like it'll be a Hobbs and Shaw 2. Yeah, that news dropped a little bit earlier today, right as we were doing the podcast, but we didn't have time to make a video about that because as soon as we were done the podcast, we had to do some post-production on it. Then we had to leave to go to see the movie. So we're going to make a standalone video about this tomorrow. That's for certain. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? Because I thought, are Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson actually going to be in a movie together? And this makes sense that Dwayne Johnson would do his own standalone movie that bridges the gap between Fast X and Fast X 2. So I haven't even had a chance to read the story yet. Because again, it broke while we were doing the podcast. As soon as we were done the podcast, we did some post-production and then I had to fly out to the door to go to the movie. So yeah, there's that. All right. Let's see. Next up, Sutheus writes, though I enjoy animation, for some reason, I just don't get interested in animated superhero content. That's understandable. Hence why I don't watch any of DC/Marvel. And it took me forever to watch Spider-Verse. I get that. I do. Like, I'm somebody who generally does not like either Marvel or DC animated stuff, generally speaking. I mean, there's a few exceptions from both Marvel and DC of animated content that I've liked, but it's rare. And normally I don't, but man, that's probably part of the reason why I was not excited at all for the first Spider-Verse movie when it came out. I just wasn't excited about it. And then I watched it and lost my mind. And now this one, Sutheus, woo, this one, oh my goodness. Oh my word. It's so good, my man. It is so good. All right. Wesley Nemella writes, hello, John. Have you seen Yorgos Lanthimos' new movie, Poor Things? I have not. Has a trailer starting with Emma Stone, other on YouTube. Has a trailer starting with Emma Stone, other on YouTube. It is movie Dead Women. It is movie Dead Women. Let me try this again. It is movie Dead Women Come Back to Life, like a Frankenstein movie, modern take. Oh, I did see a trailer. I believe I did see a trailer for that, but it's been forever. I certainly have not seen the movie. I think I saw a trailer for it like a couple of months ago, or maybe I can't remember. I know I saw it. I remember thinking this looks really odd. Oh, by the way, Wesley sent in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Wesley, for supporting us on that level, man. I just remember thinking it looked really odd. I had no idea the movie came out already. Yeah, and that's it. I think I saw the trailer once, and I just remember thinking it looks really, really weird. And weirdness is not necessarily bad. I just remember thinking it looks really, really weird. But, there's that. All right, Wesley writes in again with another $20 super chat. Thank you, Wesley. who writes, "Hello, John. How was your WrestleMania 39 trip?" Well, it wasn't really a trip because it was here in LA. What are your thoughts on the show, and how was it there live at WrestleMania again? And did do any fun? Did you go the WrestleMania store or meet wrestlers there? No, did not. It was actually kind of a disappointing experience, to be honest with you. I mean, I went on the second night of WrestleMania, me and Ray, we all went on the second night of WrestleMania, and everybody told us the first night was better, and we probably should have gone on the first night. It was it was fun, but it was a little disappointing. I had a much better time at the last WrestleMania we went to in San Francisco. It was a little bit disappointing. Especially with the way the main event went. And there was a couple of good things in there, but no, we didn't meet any wrestlers or anything like that. We were up in the stands. It was a good atmosphere, good energy, good crowd. But I think that might be my last WrestleMania that I go to. Overall, it was a little bit of a disappointing experience for me. All right. Next up, Christopher Brickner writes, Destin Daniel Cretton is sure, he's the guy who directed Shang-Chi and is going to be directing Kang Dynasty. Sure is busy with Disney directing Avengers Kang Dynasty, also being an executive producer and director on American Born Chinese and Wonder Man. Yeah, they got him pretty busy right now, which is totally justified because what Daniel did with Shang-Chi, I still think that might be the best movie that the Marvel, I'll say it. It's the best movie the Marvel Cinematic Universe has had since Endgame. Now, let me think about that. Yep. Yeah, I stand by that. Shang-Chi is the best Marvel movie since Endgame. I think it's better than No Way Home, and I really like No Way Home. I like No Way Home a lot. I think it's a little bit better than Guardians 3, and I love that movie. But to me, Shang-Chi is just that. So it is totally understandable that Disney is keeping this guy wrapped up and busy right now. Completely understandable. All right. CJ Rebirth writes, loved it. Got a dope poster. My God, the animation. Yeah, one of the neat things at our screening, they gave these full-size big Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse posters. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have everybody on the crew autograph one of the Spider-Man posters, and we're going to do some kind of game or contest, and we're going to give away the Spider-Man poster we got at Across the Spider-Verse tonight, autographed by everybody on the team, and we will send it out to you guys. So to one of you guys, not all of you guys, to one of you guys. All right. Let's see here. Next up, Christopher Brickner writes, one of two. Fans are worried about Sony having Spider-Man. Not that they can't make good Spider-Man films. Fans get worried Sony will get too involved in the films. That's how we got Spider-Man 3. No, it is not. No, it is not. That is a myth. That is a completely, anyway. Amazing Spider-Man 2, Morbius. When they let the filmmakers work, we get the Spider-Verse films and Raimi's first two. Okay, first of all, Spider-Man 3 was not a result of the studio getting too involved. I've got news for you. Every studio gets super involved in almost every movie. All right? It is a collaborative thing. The only difference is when the movies are good, nobody talks about it. The studios, Peter Jackson talks about this a lot. The studios were very involved in the making of Lord of the Rings. And Peter Jackson on the DVD special features, he says, and it's a good thing they did. A lot of the stuff that they gave me notes on made the film better. It was a great collaborative environment, yada, yada, yada. Part of the reason the Lord of the Rings are so great is not just because of Peter Jackson, but because the studio interfered. Because it's their movie, it's a collaborative effort, all that kind of stuff. And this notion that, when a movie's good, it's because they just know. Is that when a movie's great, the studios don't take credit. They like to shine the light on the filmmakers. But believe me, I've been on the set of a lot of movies. All films, I'm not going to say all. The vast majority of films, studio reps, executive producers are there on set and they are giving notes and all that kind of stuff. Very, very few directors whose names end with Spielberg and Nolan may be an exemption to that, but believe me, it is. And with Sam Raimi, I keep getting tired of this thing about Sam. Listen, I love Sam Raimi. I love him dearly. But Spider-Man 3 was his fault. All right? Just like Spider-Man 1, he gets the credit. Spider-Man 2, he gets the credit. Spider-Man 3, it's his fault. And people go, well, they made him put Venom in. Then he should have made a good movie with Venom. That's it. then he should have made a good movie with Venom. But the narrative becomes the studio interfered. Guess what? Grow up, everybody. The studio interferes. You know what studio interferes most with their movies? Marvel. Marvel, the studio interferes. No studio interferes as much with their films as Marvel does. Kevin Feige, who is the head of the studio, he has actual real control over all the films. He interferes in the films more than anybody else. As a matter of fact, what I still consider to be, let's put Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse aside for a second, okay? Let's put that aside for a second. Up until this morning, I think the best video or comic book movie of all time is the first Avengers movie. For many different reasons, we won't go into it now. But to me, that is the best comic book movie ever made. And you're damn right the studio interfered with it. I was at the Directors Guild when they did a special screening at the Directors Guild of Avengers one night, and Joss Whedon was there on stage, and he talked about how in his version of the script, he had his script, it was all ready to go, and then the studio came in, interfered, and they said, because he didn't have Black Widow in the script. He didn't have Black Widow. In the Avengers, Black Widow was not supposed to be in the movie. All Joss Whedon said at the event was, he said, let's just say my script was very waspy. So clearly he had Wasp in there. And the studio came in and said, well, we got plans for Black Widow, so kick out Wasp and put in Black Widow. So you know what Joss Whedon did? He went, all right. And he made the best movie he could with Black Widow in it. Sure, the studio came along and told Sam Raimi, we need to have Venom in this movie. Okay, then it is your job as a filmmaker to make a good movie with Venom in it. It's not the studio's fault it didn't work. The studios always tell filmmakers what characters they want in the movies. It is the filmmaker's responsibility then to take that and make it work. And so just as, rightfully so, Sam Raimi gets the credit for Spider-Man 1 and gets the credit for Spider-Man 2, one of the greatest comic book films of all time, by the way. He's got to shoulder the responsibility for Spider-Man 3. Because it doesn't matter if the studio told them to put a character in. Guess what? Most directors have studios tell them to put certain characters in. It's now your job to make a good movie out of that. And as great of a job as he did on 1 and 2, he dropped the ball on 3. Everybody has a bad day at the office. But yeah, there's this myth, this urban legend out there that if a movie's good, it's because the studios didn't interfere. And if the movie's bad, it's because the studio interfered. It's time for everybody to grow up. The studios interfere on every movie, with the very, very rare exception of people like Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, and Christopher Nolan. Because it's their money. It's their necks on the line. It's their hundreds of millions of dollars. It's their film. So, of course, they always have notes and stuff like that. And when you listen to directors like Peter Jackson or Joss Whedon or guys like that, they'll tell you most of the time, or quite often, it works out to great effect. And the results are great. And sometimes it's not. But yeah, anyway, that's just that. This is kind of my thing on that. Anyway, thanks for sharing that, Christopher. Okay, next up. Let's see here. Pablozaniga writes, may be recency bias, but as a diehard fan of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, may be the best Spider-Man movie out of all of them. And you're right. Listen, I'm in the same boat as you. I am trying to, I know enough that I need to wait and give myself a little bit of time before I start throwing around proclamations like, this is the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time, or this is the greatest comic book movie of all time. And so in our conversation, that's why I keep telling you guys, understand I'm still in the buzz, right? I am hungover with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So I need to give myself a beat to try to put it a little bit more into context. Take a deep breath, get over the excitement of it a little bit, be a little bit more objective. All I'm telling you is, fuck, I just got off a roller coaster ride called Spider-Man, and it was fucking awesome. This movie's incredible. This is master level filmmaking. This movie, absolutely incredible. And I cannot wait for you guys to get out there and watch it as well. Okay, next up. Trevin Como writes, my theater was stuck when the movie ended. Amazing. Yeah. Here's the thing. Even in comic book movies, even though the general thing in comic book movies is everybody knows there's a post-credit scene, right? But even though most people know there's post-credit scenes in comic book movies, a movie credit starts rolling and half the people in the audience get up, grab their coats and start walking out, right? Like they know there's probably a post-credit scene, whatever, but just people leave. In my theater today, it was packed. And when the credits started to roll, nobody moved. Nobody moved. Everybody was like you said, Trevin, they were stuck. All right, My Comic Planet writes, I'm with you, John. This just might be the greatest ever for me. And the way they incorporated different eras of comics was incredible. Just wow. Listen, guys, listen to me. Listen. Are you listening? Listen. They do things in this movie you are not going to believe. All right. I said in my out of theater reaction that they do things in this movie I would never believe. I said, as a matter of fact, if Jesus himself walked out of the theater before I saw the movie and came up to me and told me the things that happened in the movie, I would have looked him in the eyes and said, I don't believe you. I'm like, seriously, they do things in this movie you will not believe. You will just... the movie is over and you'll be like, I cannot believe they did that. And I can't believe they did that. And I certainly can't believe they did that. They do a lot of crazy stuff and they do it. They don't just do it for the sake of being crazy. They do it because it's great. That's the thing. Any movie maker, any filmmaker can throw in some crazy thing for no reason and just out of nowhere and doesn't really fit in anything and just say, ooh, look, everybody, look at this cameo or look at this crazy plot twist we did. And even though it doesn't fit, anybody can do that. But every kind of crazy thing that happens in this movie fits and pushes the story forward. And they just do a really, really good job. Okay, guys, listen. There is more to get to here, but before we do, we're going to take a quick second here and thank a couple of the sponsors of this video of Open Mic, my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile, and ExpressVPN. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Guys, it is 2023, and online privacy and security has never been more important. You see, every device, phones, computers, tablets, has a unique IP address, which is like an internet phone number and reveals personal information about you. It's super simple for somebody online who knows what they're doing to find your IP address if you've ever clicked on a sketchy link or opened an email from somebody you don't know. Your IP address could become exposed. Now that's where ExpressVPN has your back. ExpressVPN is an app that hides your real IP address and replaces it with a dummy one, keeping you safe and private. And you don't have to be some kind of techie to use a VPN. Guys, it is so easy to use. Just download the ExpressVPN app on your phone or computer, tap one button to turn it on, and you're protected. And if you like your streaming entertainment, here's the coolest part. They let you choose what country you want your IP address to look like it's coming from. This is incredibly useful because services like Netflix and Disney Plus give you different shows depending on what country you're in. So secure your family's online activity and unlock tons of new shows by visiting expressvpn.com/Campea. Use my link and you can get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Campea. Go to expressvpn.com/Campea to learn more. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of this video, Rocket Money. The average person has around 12 paid subscriptions. Think about that. If you think you're only subscribed to a handful of services, you might want to double check. With Rocket Money, you can quickly identify and cancel all of your unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want and don't even use. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. My wife Ann and I moved out of Burbank 2 years ago, and one of the first things I discovered when I loaded up Rocket Money was that I was still paying for a gym membership I haven't even been to in Burbank in 2 years. So stop throwing away your money. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/Campea. That's rocketmoney.com/Campea. rocketmoney.com/Campea. And thank you. There we go to our friends at Mint Mobile, ExpressVPN, and Rocket Money for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys. With that down, we got more questions from you guys to come. I have turned off the super chats, just so you guys know. So thank you to everybody who sent in super chats. We've now turned them off. But don't worry. Again, if you got questions or whatever about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, we will do a full open spoiler discussion on Sunday. So that'll give more of you guys a chance to make sure you see the film and ready to go. So, okay. So anyway, let's get back to it here. Next up, Zach Taylor sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Zach, for supporting us on that level, man. And he writes, sorry about bringing up the amount of trailers playing. Oh, that was the other day on the show. Sorry about bringing up the amount of trailers playing in theaters. Here's another $20 for your trouble. No problem. Listen, man, listen, I admit, I got a problem. I have a problem. My biggest pet peeve about movie going is not people who bring phones in. It's not people who bring kids in. It's not a lot of the things that are annoyances for all of us. My biggest problem with movie theater going right now, I think one of the biggest problems in all of movie theater going is the sheer amount of trailers they play. And don't worry, I won't go into my big spiel right now, but just suffice it to say that again, today, my Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse showing was supposed to start at 2:30. Started at 3:01. 31 minutes after it said it's supposed to start, right? Movie theaters are supposed to be creating a great movie-going experience, and they're fucking up the movie-going experience from the moment somebody sits down before the movie even starts. So anyway, there's that. Told you I wouldn't go on a big, long rant. That's it for now. Thank you, Zach. But yeah, that is my pet peeve thing. All right, Dwayne Fernandez writes, hey, John, so out of the Spider-Man, we saw the trailers for Across the Spider-Verse. Which was the best for you? Okay, sorry. So, John, out of the you probably mean Spider-Men. Out of the Spider-Men we saw in the trailer for Across the Spider-Verse, which was the best for you? I keep hearing Spider-Punk was amazing. Spider-Punk is amazing, but my favorite is still Peter B. Parker, who you saw in the trailers now has a baby. Peter B. Parker is still my favorite character in the Spider-Verse films. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, I love Miles. I love Gwen. I just love them all, the parents, everything. But Peter B. Parker is probably still my favorite in all of that there. Oh, by the way, Silvis the Slayer just gifted a membership to somebody in the chat. Thank you so much for that, Silvis. That's very generous of you, man. I appreciate that very, very much. It looks like Duck Cookie was the recipient of the membership. Thank you so much for doing that, man. That's incredibly generous of you. All right, let's get back to it here. Curtis Lopez writes, thoughts on the rumors Vin Diesel is hating that Momoa is getting buzz from Fast X, stealing his thunder. By the way, can't wait for Spider-Verse tonight. I don't believe that rumor at all. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's something that's so easy for somebody to make up. Vin Diesel got Jason Momoa in the movie. Vin Diesel wanted the character to be that great. Vin Diesel is making money off that character being great. So no, I don't buy that bullshit at all. And I guarantee you it's probably not coming from anywhere reliable. I mean, again, I have not seen that rumor. I'm not dissing on whatever outlet's reporting it because I have no idea what outlet is reporting it. I don't buy that one slightest ounce. Okay. Spencer writes, I don't think there's a single piece of media with better animation than this movie. Every single second of the movie had love and effort put into it. That's true. But listen, I'm going to tell you right now, as much as I think the Spider-Verse movies are beautiful, like they're works of art, they are not my favorite. They are not my favorite animation style. I think other movies have better animation, but the animation in this movie is so carefully done and so lovingly done and so artful, and it's beautiful. It really, really is. Again, it is not my favorite style of animation, but it is absolutely very beautiful. By the way, speaking of beautiful, so remember I just said Duck Cookie was the recipient of a gifted membership. Now Duck Cookie has just returned the favor and gifted one membership out to somebody. So thank you so much for that, Duck Cookie. That's incredibly generous of you, man. And it looks like Scott Rowe was the recipient of it. That's called paying it forward. Well done, Duck Cookie. That's really, really cool of you. All right. Let's keep things going here. Next up, SHM Design writes, did they just make the best two Marvel movies? Maybe. I mean, if you're talking about Spider-Verse, maybe. I don't know. I've got to take a step back. I need to take a step back. I have just come out of seeing the movie. I'm on a total sugar high with it. So I need to give that a little bit more, one a little bit more thought. All right, next up. Moda Awesome writes, I loved it, but my AMC Dolby projector was unfocused. It pissed me off, and I had to step out 2 times because I got a terrible headache. Worst screening of my life. It happened to one of the best movies. You know what, Moto Awesome? I'm going to tell you something true. I didn't say this in my Out of Theater review, and this is one of the reasons Ann and I are going back to go see it again tonight. I was in my absolute beloved AMC Dolby Prime. My favorite movie theater. I like it better than IMAX. It's my favorite viewing experience, AMC Dolby Prime. There was something wrong with the sound mix in my theater. Like in the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, for instance, Gwen Stacy is talking a lot, but the sound effects and the music were much higher than the vocal track. And I was having a very, very difficult time making out what she was saying. And there were several parts throughout the movie. It was almost like I was watching a Christopher Nolan movie at parts that I had to really, really strain to hear what was being said. And I have never had that problem in an AMC Dolby Prime other than Christopher Nolan's, what was the name of his most recent one? Not Oppenheimer. That's coming out soon, but this most recent one. Guys in the live chat, you know what I'm talking about. I'm freezing on the name of the movie, but the one that had major Tenet. Thank you. Tenet had major audio issues because Christopher Nolan seems to always have a bad sound mix, but I don't think it was the sound mix in this movie. I think there was something wrong with the speaker system in the theater I was at. So Ann and I are going to go see the movie again tonight in a different theater at AMC. And hopefully it'll have better sound. But I'm here seeing a couple of you guys in the live chat saying you also had some audio issues too. Super Mario Perez is saying, oh my gosh, my AMC audio was bad too. Michael's saying I couldn't hear Spider-Punk. Oh, Fanjexer is saying Sean Chandler had sound mix issues too. Interesting. So maybe it's not AMC's fault. Maybe it's the studio made a bad audio mix. Anyway, I'm going to go see it in another theater tonight. Michael Gonzalez is not Michael. Mike Complan is saying the same thing. I'm going to go see it in another theater tonight, and I will report back if I had the same issues. But that was the one downside. I mean, I was able to make out 95%, 98% of the vocals. It's just that every once in a while I had to really strain to hear what it was they were trying to say in the dialogue. All right. Thanks, Sharon, man. All right, next up. My Comic Planet writes, there's so much going on in this movie. Ain't that the truth? It's impossible to catch everything. It might take 4 or 5 viewings to get everything. That says a lot. Yeah, now, here's the thing, though. it will not take 4 or 5 screenings to get what's going on in the movie. You have the story. It's a very complicated movie, but they do a masterful job of bringing the audience along, right? Like you never feel lost. But when it comes to picking up all the wild little things here and there, I have a feeling you're right. I have a feeling it's going to take numerous screenings to get through all those. All right. Jaden Voss writes, the Danny DeVito crying in the theater meme was literally my little brother and my reaction, with us crying multiple times during this movie. It's an emotional movie. There's some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moments. There's some really tragic moments. I was surprised how much emotion came out of a certain scene with Miguel, actually. And again, I won't go into details, but there was surprising emotion in surprising places in the movie. Just so beautiful. Isaac writes, you have a crazed look like you saw a masterpiece. I feel like I did. Like every once in a while I see a movie that's so good, I'm come out like discombobulated. It's like, oh my, like I didn't even realize that was possible. Like, and that's how I kind of feel coming out of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I was like, what did I just see? You know, I remember coming out of the first screening for Captain America Winter Soldier. And I remember I felt like that. I almost felt drunk. Like we came out of watching Captain America the Winter Soldier for the first time and everybody was like, what did we just watch? Like, holy crap. That was not like any comic book movie we've seen before. That is like next level stuff. And that's kind of how I felt coming out of this movie. It really is. All right. Next up, where are we at? RML Culture writes, been through a tough time recently. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Thank God for your videos to get me through it. I go to movies to help. And so this is my coping mechanism. Dude, you and me both. Listen, there have been a lot of times at different periods of my life, whether it's when I've lost somebody or whatever, that the movies are there. Movies don't fix anything. But the movies or talking about movies gives my mind a break. It gives my mind an oasis. And it's funny how in life, when you're just able to have a few moments of peace and be taken to another place, let your imagination click in and go to another place. It's amazing how rejuvenating that can be for your mind. Now, look, when I say this all the time, when you come out of a movie, your problems are not fixed. Your problems are still there. But I find, are in a little bit better of a position to deal with those problems. That's why I love the movies and why the movies to me are so important. They're not just great little escapes. I think movies are important. I think the art is important. And that's, to me, one of the reasons why. So I'm glad the movies can be there for you on that level, RML. And I appreciate you sharing that, man. I really do. Let's see. Buck's Basement writes, could Spider-Verse get Best Picture Oscar? Listen, the Academy Award is too ballless to consistently give animated films a Best Picture nomination. Into the Spider-Verse should have gotten a Best Picture nomination. I'm not saying it should have won, but I'm saying it absolutely 100% should have been nominated. But the Oscars in this regard lack the testicles to nominate an animated film. Do you know how many years? There have been a lot of years where an animated film has been like the #1 critically rated film of the year, but only 3 times in history has an animated film actually been nominated for Best Picture. And the only reason the Academy introduced the Best Animated category a number of years ago was to give themselves a cop-out. So they wouldn't have to worry about nominating a cartoon as Best Picture. Listen, there's a lot of great movies to come out this year, right? A lot of great movies to come out this year. I really do hope, though. I find it impossible that there's going to be 10 better movies than Across the Spider-Verse. I will say that right now. I find it impossible to believe that there's going to be 10 better movies than Across the Spider-Verse. If we do end up with 10 better movies than Across the Spider-Verse this year, this is going to be the greatest year in movie history. If this year ends up having Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, the movie I just watched, and that's the 11th best movie of the year, this will be the best movie a year ever. So, but I don't know if the Academy has the balls to do it. I simply do not know. Anyway, next up, Kite writes, not sure if you saw, but Oppenheimer is rated R. So do you think this will affect the competition with Barbie? No. Somebody brought that up in the John Campea Show podcast earlier today. See, here's the thing. An R rating on a movie, it's statistically proven, does affect the box office. It just does. But if you've seen the trailers for Oppenheimer, it ain't like families were getting ready to run out to watch Oppenheimer. It's not like parents were getting ready to pack the kiddies into the car to go see Oppenheimer. I mean, Oppenheimer looks like a very heavy, serious, like brilliant. It looks amazing, but it looks very heavy and very serious and dark. And it's talking about the atomic bomb and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, an R rating definitely does normally affect a movie. But with Oppenheimer, I really don't think the R rating on Oppenheimer is going to affect things too much, because it didn't look like it was a movie that a lot of families were going to run out and see together anyway. It looks like it's a film for adults. It looks like a film for adults. So I don't think it's going to have too much of a problem there. At least I don't think so. All right, next up. Ka Cinema writes, I've heard the issue wasn't that Sony asked Raimi to put Venom in, but that it was a very last minute request with little time to rework the script. No, there was enough time. There was enough time. Listen, some people think it takes years to write a script, and sometimes people do. But like, there's a great anecdotal story out there about, remember the movie Cabin in the Woods? A lot of people love that movie. Well, Joss Whedon, I forget the other guy. There was somebody, it's a named guy too, and I'm forgetting who the other guy was. But anyway, Joss Whedon tells the story about how him and this other guy literally went away for a weekend and wrote the script in a weekend. Literally went away for a weekend and wrote the script in one weekend. I mean, and look, I'm not saying that's how most movies should be made, but there was time. There was time. Yeah, I don't accept that excuse. Like, I think there was time, but anyway, there's that. All right. Next up, we've got Arthur D. Montcalm, who writes, not true. If you wanted a good Spider-Man 3 from Sam with Venom, the movie should be at least 4 hours because of the story of each character. Sam Raimi could be the boss of Marvel. I know, I reject that, Arthur. You know why? I always go back to this. I don't believe this excuse that a lot of film fans often come up with, that, well, if you're going to have that in the movie, the new movie needs to be broken into 3 movies, or the movie needs to be 4 hours long. Bullshit. You want to know why it's bullshit? Star Wars is 2 hours long. Star Wars. In the movie Star Wars, we had never met. We had to meet and be introduced to and given all the backstory, enough backstory to let the movie progress, of Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Han Solo, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia, C-3PO, R2-D2, the concepts of the Empire, the Death Star, Star Destroyers, the Galactic Rebellion, and all these things. You had to do all of those things, and they did it in a 2-hour movie. Okay, you had a number of characters, which was not an unprecedented number of characters in Spider-Man 3. You didn't need a 4-hour movie to do that, right? If you were in the hands of a skilled filmmaker, and Sam Raimi is a beyond skilled filmmaker, if you're in the hands of a skilled filmmaker, you can make that work. You know why? Because lots of other films have made it work. So yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that myself, Arthur. But again, that's just my perspective. You can have your perspective, and we're all film fans, and we all have different perspectives of it. All right. Let's see. Cash writes, a wise man once said the hierarchy of power in the Spider-Verse is about to change. Yeah, and it wasn't Dwayne Johnson. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people out there right now saying this is the best Spider-Man film of all time, and it very well may be. It very, very well may be. So yeah. All right, next up. Baby Boy 8603 writes, better song, John, the Scuttlebutt song or Peaches? I'll tell you what, I see a lot of people complaining about the Scuttlebutt song in Little Mermaid. I quite liked it. I thought it was delightful. I really did like it, but come on, it's Peaches. Peaches, 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 peaches. That's the better song. I mean, I don't know how Peaches doesn't win the Academy Award this year. I don't know how Peaches does not get an Academy Award this year for Best Song at the Academy Awards. You might as well just get rid of the category altogether if you don't give it to Peaches this year. That's just me. All right. Next up, Casinema writes, does Across the Spider-Verse have 2 credit scenes? I am not going to answer any questions about any details in the film. I know normally I'll tell you guys if a movie have post-credit scenes or not and blah, 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 but I am just not going to answer that particular question right now. All right, Kevin Fraser writes, your joy and excitement has me ready to see it. Thanks. I listen. And again, guys, remember, no matter how excited I am for a movie, or let's go to the complete opposite. No matter how much I dislike a movie, that is me simply as a fellow film fan with you telling you my experience. That doesn't mean if I love a movie that you will necessarily love it, because all film is subjective. Movies are art that hits us all in different ways. And just because I hate a movie, that's not me saying that you're going to hate the movie. You may enjoy it. And that's the beautiful thing about the art. We should celebrate that we like and dislike and enjoy and have different movies hits us in different ways. So while I'm sitting here raving my mind out about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, please do not misinterpret that as me telling you, I guarantee you will love it, because I can't guarantee that. All I can do as your fellow film fan is tell you what my experience was. That's all I can do. And maybe your experience will be the same as mine. Maybe it'll be better than mine. Maybe it'll be worse than mine, but all I can do is tell you my experience. So don't take my enthusiasm as any kind of a guarantee, and don't take my enthusiasm as any sort of pressure that you need to like it too, or else there's something wrong with you. Not at all. But I loved it, man. I absolutely loved this movie. All right. Let's see. Cash writes, movie cameo of the year. Well, I mean, here's the thing. That could refer to several different things. I think I know the one in particular you're talking about, but honestly, I might not even be thinking of the right one. It could be many, many different things. Anyway, you know what? That'll do it for all the questions you guys have sent in. But you know what? Let's take a few extra minutes here. Let me just go over to the live chat board that you guys have in there, that you guys are in right now, and let me know what you guys have to say. Do you guys got some stuff you want to talk about here? Iciness is saying great multiple cameos. I will agree with that. Again, not going to get into details in the movie, but I will agree with that. Let's see here. Okay, so banning one person from our channel. There we go. Let's see. Well, Cash saying, you know the one I'm talking about. I don't know. There were several. there were several. Let's see. Blake is saying this movie gave me a new perspective on life. I can get that. CB is saying, I've got a theory on Miguel, but I'll save for Sunday. Yeah, save spoiler questions, everything like that for Sunday. We'll do a big open spoiler discussion on Sunday. Sammy Dennis writes, John, you got to start going to Cinemark. No more AMC. Well, the problem is AMC have the best theater. The AMC Dolby Prime is the best movie theater to be in my opinion. And as long as they have the best movie theater, it's hard not to go to AMC. Brownie Jacob G writes, how did Anne like it? By the way, everybody for some reason spells Anne with an E. There is no E on Anne's name, just so you know. But Anne loved it. Loved it. Anne has 2 posters on our hallway wall. It's her 2 all-time favorite films, Big with Tom Hanks and Dune. And we got home and she said, sorry, honey, I've got to put up a 3rd poster now. And she wants to put up Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse. So that will give you an idea about how much, what she thought of the movie. Yeah. Anyway. All right, guys, that'll do it for this installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show a part of your evening. Thanks so much to you guys who sent in those super chats. Number 1, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the channel. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Once again, my apologies to anybody who sent in the tip link questions. Normally we do those first here on Open Mic, but because I'm doing this later, I don't have them here. Jonathan's got them. So do not worry if you've sent in a question using the tip link, that'll be addressed on tomorrow's Open Mic. My apologies that we didn't get to those today. So that'll do it for me for now, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.